Chef RPG releases into early access on September 12th, and I spent the past couple days playing through it. I managed to make it into the third act of the game at about 8 hours, which is the last act so far, and I've been playing around with the game's different systems, noting down what I liked and where I see room for improvement. So I'm going to go through all the main parts of the game, the story, running your restaurant, obtaining ingredients, and give you all a little rundown on my experience so far to help you decide if early access is right for you. Now, this isn't really a full review since I haven't finished with everything there is to do, but I have played for long enough to get a good idea of what the gameplay loop is like. Hands down, the biggest thing the game has going for it is the art, especially the buildings. It's what first got me interested in Chef RPG, and it's all very vibrant and lively. The story is simple. You're a young, up-and-coming chef who's just moved out of the big city and into the rundown town of White Ash Harbor. Together, with the help of some friendly and some reluctant NPCs, you'll work to get your new restaurant on the map. Overall, I really like what I've seen of the story so far. The excitement of decorating your restaurant for its grand opening, choosing which dishes you'll serve, and preparing for your first big visit from an infamous food critic. I'm very curious to see where the story goes upon the game's full release, getting to know each character better, and just spending more time in this world. The dialogue is occasionally a bit awkward, with a typo here and there, but that all can be easily fixed. The intro is pretty short, and after it's over, you're really just thrown into your new life, left on your own to figure out where you're supposed to go and what you want to do next. One of the major things that I don't particularly like about Chef RPG so far is the pacing. You can go days at a time without any main quest updates, and you'll only ever have one quest to complete at a time, unless you pick up an optional little fetch quest from one of these boards. I'd like to see something more similar to how quests are done in Stardew Valley, a main story quest or goal like growing crops for an NPC, and then other stuff that can be done kind of in the background, like meeting all the game's characters and that quest where you have to find Mayor Lewis's shorts. It feels like there's somewhat of a lack of direction at times that I personally don't love, but if you are the type of person to get really absorbed in foraging or decorating, not usually the kind of person to focus only on the main quest, then your mileage will definitely vary here. Now obviously the big thing you'll be doing in the game is running your restaurant. There's a lot going on here with all the different ingredients and appliances, but you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. If you want to put a dish on the menu, you need to have enough of each required ingredient and the correct appliance to prepare it. Each appliance has its own minigame to play as you're using it, and this can be bypassed once you prepare a dish with it that has a rating of 95 or higher. Not too difficult to do, just be sure to turn on the auto cook feature in the bottom left corner or you'll be left playing those minigames all night long. You also want to make sure you've hired enough staff to help you out because the place can get pretty busy, and you want it to be busy. I work at a restaurant in real life, and somehow Chef RPG is able to capture the chaotic energy of being in a kitchen, and it honestly kind of tires me out if I leave the place running for too long. It tires the staff out too, and they'll absolutely fall asleep in the middle of whatever they're doing once their energy bar is depleted. You can get around this after you install a tea brewing machine, which gives them more energy. It's very clear that the whole restaurant portion of the game has been the main focus during development. The dishes are all so fun, and each one has a lovely pixel portrait to drool over when you learn a new recipe, which there are over 200 of in the game. Setting everything up, your decor, your menu, stocking your fridge, it all takes time, and if you don't plan carefully, then you can easily find yourself running around looking for ingredients last minute. And these ingredients can be found in a few places, either in one of White Ash Harbor's many shops or out in the wild. It seems like some things can only be purchased, others only foraged for, a few may appear in both places, and then others can be crafted or refined once you unlock that skill. There's also a greenhouse, which I haven't even unlocked yet. There's way more foraging here than I thought there'd be, which is pretty great. Sometimes I didn't even realize I was walking right past something that I could harvest until someone told me later on to go find it. I can't quite place my finger on why, but it's missing that satisfying something to make it completely addicting. You can also go fishing, of course, which is complete with its own minigame. It gets the job done, but I wouldn't say that it's my favorite thing to do. Mostly because there isn't much variety when it comes to types of fish you can catch, which I'm sure is something that's in the works. Hunting is definitely a bit more tricky though. Animals will sometimes run all the way across to the other side of the screen, and then you'll need to chase them, and then they'll run back, and it's this whole cycle. There are even some legendary creatures to hunt down with some very meaty health bars. But you do end up getting a lot of meat every time you kill an animal, so it ends up being worth it in the end. Now, some of this stuff can start to feel a bit grindy, and it does take quite a lot of work to earn any substantial amount of money. Just like real life, huh? This brings me to the RPG parts of Chef RPG. Your character does have an overall level, and each time you level up, you'll be able to put a point into one of 4 skills: endurance, cooking, gathering, and social. These don't have that big of an effect on gameplay, but the individual skills you purchase do. With these, you can unlock some pretty big mechanics, like the ability to brew alcohol, being able to identify plants in the wild, or buying vending machines to earn passive income. It does take a bit of time to level up, so it's probably best to plan out which upgrades you want the most, since they get pretty expensive pretty quickly. The quest tab is broken up into 4 different types: story, character, miscellaneous, and daily. And so far I've only come across main story quests and timed daily quests that you can pick up if you choose. I suspect that character quests will come into play once you've become close enough friends with different NPCs, but they seem to be pretty picky about the gifts they receive, so I haven't had much luck here yet. And I do really want to learn more about these characters because they're all very odd and definitely have some weird stuff going on in their lives behind the scenes. There's still a decent sized portion of the map that I don't even have access to yet, so I'm hoping that when I get to this point, maybe some more quests will open up. And now, a couple bugs I ran into, nothing too major, but still worth noting. Oftentimes, random NPCs will get in the way of characters when trying to talk to them, which was pretty annoying. Also, I sometimes had to back up and reapproach someone in order for the dialogue prompt to appear. The music will abruptly cut between different songs when entering or exiting certain buildings, and when foraging, if you try to walk away before picking everything up, items will trail behind you and follow you until you get to the next screen, which is kind of funny. A few other technical things to note: both controller support and key rebinding are not included in this initial early access build, but will be coming in the next few weeks. So if that's important to you, then definitely hold off for a bit longer. There's also no ultra-wide monitor support, and that's also in the works. So where does this all leave us? I still need to play a bit more before I can definitively say whether or not I recommend the game in its current state, but I have a feeling that the final answer will be, it depends. Are you okay potentially waiting 1.5 years to finish the rest of the story? The full release will have a whole new area to explore, Billboard City, multiple restaurants for us to manage, a bunch more quests, endgame content. Seems like there's a lot going on. In the meantime, the early access version will continue to be updated with festivals, new items, a romance system, and a separate fishing area we can travel to. And that's all I have to say about Chef RPG for now. It supposedly takes a total of 20 hours to play through the story so far, and you can continue growing your restaurants beyond this point. There are also 37 achievements, and some of them will definitely take quite a while to unlock. So I'll continue to play, looking forward to future updates and all the stuff that's yet to come. Let me know if you plan on picking up the game in early access, or if you're waiting for the full release, and best of luck to all you chefs out there.